And a good evening to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Lanny Ford, Juju Phillips here on a Monday evening, June the 12th. Look, did you notice our new blinds?
I noticed them now.
I got blinds if we need to close the blinds if the sun's bothering us.
Very good.
Yeah.
I've been here in a couple of weeks.
I know you hadn't. I had stuff going on last week. Calvin was making some changes to his automation system, and I needed to help him just a little bit. Glad to have you along with us today. A couple of guests on for tonight. We're going to be joined by Charles Young. He's a former part owner of the Crawdads.
Correct.
And attorney or retired attorney.
Retired attorney
In Hickory. And
Wake Forest baseball alum.
there you go. And Wake Forest Demon Deacons, boy, I'm going to tell you what, Wake Forest and Virginia know how to hit the ball. That's all I'm going to say. I watched it, and I don't usually watch baseball, but I watched it, and it was pretty darn good. Miles Moffitt will also join us. He is All-American on Lenore Ryan's lacrosse team, and talk about their visit to the White House today.
Correct. My
national champions.
Yeah, my understanding is he was expected to go, but he did not go. I found that out late this afternoon, but he can talk about what he heard from some of his buddies.
Yeah. And this is a story, sad news to pass on to you. I met him in later years. He spent some time as a coach at West Lincoln High School. David Elder passed away this afternoon, and Dave is Juju was talking about, said the biggest hands he's ever seen on a man, and he would rival Blackjack Mulligan's, but as humble a giant as there's ever been. Always very gracious. He played at Lenore Ryan from 63 to 66 out of Alexander Central or Alexander County. He was named the team's freshman of the year in 63. He ranked 10th in all-time passing receptions with 76. He graduated in 67 and spent a lifetime in coaching and teaching. I want to say he started at West Lincoln or not long after that, but most of his work was at Hickory High School. He went 418 and 129 in women's basketball. He went 143, 71 and 1 in football. He won 4 state championships with the women. 4 state championships, 3 with women's basketball, 1 in football. He was AP Coach of the Year in 1999. He's a member of Lenore Ryan's Hall of Fame, Catawba County Sports Hall of Fame. He is a member of the North Carolina High School Athletic Hall of Fame. And the field is named after him at Hickory High School and Frank Barger Stadium. And you just couldn't find a finer man than David Elder.
Yeah, giant of a man. I first got to know him right after I graduated in the early 80s. He played softball with him, and he was our catcher. And the hand thing goes back to that.
Oh, yeah.
Played softball with him for a number of years. Got to know him much better when he became the head coach at Hickory High, and we did that Saturday morning interview show at the local restaurant, and he was the easiest interview, too. I would always just ask one question. And
he talked to you like he'd known you his entire life.
And exactly, yeah. So, kind man, always had a nice word to say, and was just wonderful to be around.
I met him, I guess it was when Maiden was at Hickory playing, or I can't remember. He traveled with the Hickory radio crew, and I met him, and I knew of him, knew of his name, but never had the opportunity to meet him. And it wasn't 5 minutes, and it was like you'd known him forever. I mean, that's just who he was. Now, let's see, if he graduated high school, I guess in 63 or 62, he would have been what, mid-70s?
Late 70s.
Late 70s? Okay, because I don't know. But
if not, let's see. He would have been 62 he'd have graduated. Okay. Because you said he's freshman of the year in 63.
Okay, that takes him back to 44. That'd make him 79.
79.
Close to it. But super guy. He was on the staff. And I'll tell you who was on that West Lincoln staff. My daughter says, do you realize you're the same way after about 5 minutes? Well, I try to be. I just think that's a good way to be. When he was at West Lincoln, and I think this was coaching staff, I'd have to get it confirmed, but The head coach at that time was Brennan Elliott, if I'm not mistaken.
He was, I remember.
And on that staff, I think, was Coach Elliott, Troy Leatherman, that went on to Ford, David Elder, Tom Watson. And then by the time I got there, when I went up and played as an 8th grader on the freshman team because I was too big to play in elementary school, Coach Brennan was still there, and it was Brennan Elliott and Tom Watson, Troy Leatherman, and Wes Beam had moved up there from the elementary school. And I think that might have been the year or the year before that Coach Elder left.
I want to say he went to West Caldwell and started the program there.
Okay.
I believe that was the case. I'm just going by from memory. But I think that's
and
what
that
happened.
would have been about 73, 74.
And there might have been a stop in between.
That's why I said he probably went to West Lincoln about right out of
Yeah.
Lenore-Rhine. I don't know how many years he spent there. I'd have to ask some other people that a little older than I am that came through there. But, yeah. And Coach Elliott was another pretty good coach that came through the Chancellor. Was he a Catawba County guy or Caldwell? He was kind of local.
He was. He wasn't, I don't think, Catawba County, though. Yeah.
Okay. But I always told Coach Elder, I said, I hate never got to play for you, Coach, because he just, I mean, like I say, just a super nice guy. Will be missed and knew a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Bob got it. West Lincoln to Lenore High School, then West Caldwell. He was at South Stanley before West Lincoln. Okay. Thank you, Bob. I couldn't remember. So West Lincoln was his second stop.
I remember when they dedicated the field for him, they had that little ceremony for him, and I was very, very much in terms of I was honored to be like an MC for that event. They had it outside, and I just was amazed. Well, I'm not amazed, but I was just hit me how much impact he had on so many different so many different kinds of athletes. I remember, how many guys do you know that grew up and went on to coach state champions in women's basketball and football? Talk about almost polar opposites.
And the year he won the football was the year in the stretch that he didn't win girls basketball.
Yeah.
But it was all kind of in the mid-90s there, mid-late 90s.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tom Watson, I may have told this story, but it's worth telling again. I couldn't remember when I went to the 9th grade was the year Coach Elliott left and Coach Bird came in, which would have been 74, 75. Okay? And I think that's the year that Tom Watson went from coaching to assistant principal at West Lincoln.
Okay.
And he called me right after the Catawba County Sports Hall of Fame. I spoke to him that night, and I think it was the next day or the day after that, and he called me and he said, Lanny, I got to ask you a question. Okay. He said, what year did you graduate from high school? And I said, I can handle that one. I said, that was 1978. That's what I thought. I said, well, while we're asking questions, I said, when did you move in as assistant principal at West Lincoln? He said, I'll have to write it down. He said, I can't tell you. He said, I was there for 12 years as assistant principal. He said, I'd have to write down backwards to tell you when I went into it. I said, well, it's not that big a deal. I said, I just couldn't remember. I said, I think you transitioned out of coaching and into administration when Coach Elliott left and Coach Bird came in. Because I want to say on that staff was Coach Bird, Kelly Childers, Wes Beam, Buck Dellinger. I think that was the coaching staff.
Okay.
I think everybody, because that's the year Troy went. I think Troy went to, and Bob will straighten me out on this too. I think that's the year that Troy went to Freddie Ford. I think. Troy Leatherman.
Okay. That is way before my time, but
you weren't here yet.
No.
Yeah. But all those guys I knew
what are you talking about? The late 70s? Mid-70s?
Mid-70s.
Mid-70s. I wasn't here yet.
Mid-70s, yeah. Because it was funny, I had not seen Troy Leatherman in years, and it was after I moved up here, and I would run into him at lunch at Brookwood. He worked somewhere in Newton and would come to Brookwood and eat lunch quite a few times during the week.
Yeah.
And we would have lunch together and talk about old times. And, there again, I knew of him, but our paths didn't cross. My playing time, his coaching time at West Lincoln didn't cross. Now, he was probably coaching at Ford when that happened. But I want to say he made a stop somewhere else before he went to Ford. I can't remember. But the other thing I think, and Bob will get me on this. Hey, Milton, I'm not sure. No, Lindsay, Jimmy Ledbetter did not coach there. I'm not sure, but I want to say Troy was at Ford when they broke the record, the longest losing streak.
May have been.
They didn't break it on us. We went 0-10 that year. They did beat us, but we were the second team they beat. They broke the record on Bunker Hill.
Okay.
We were bad.
They were, 70-some games in a row?
Close to 60.
Okay, 59 then.
Yeah, in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And then it wasn't too long after that Bessemer City just about broke that record or got close.
Wow.
On it. Yep, back in the day. And that was after Bessemer City came out of the old Western Carolina Athletic Association or whatever it was and came in. They came in my senior year, 77-78 was the last – 76-77 was the last year of that association. 77-78 is when Cherryville and Bessemer City came into our conference. Okay. We had never played them. Lincoln had played them because they both used to be in the old Western Association with Shelby and Kings Mountain. And
what a league that had to be for them. I mean, they're playing the top-notch schools
back in the day.
Getting their brains beat in every week.
Yeah, but that was the year that association went away, and that is the same year that Granite Falls went away and Hudson went away and Lenore High School went away. That's when South Caldwell came online and West Caldwell came online, and Gamewell Collettsville went away, and when those new schools came online. That was 77-78, Donnie Kirkpatrick's senior year. Yeah. Hey, Stephen, good evening. Glad to have you with us, too. Okay, I've talked way too much now. Who's our first guest?
Charles Young.
Charles Young. We'll take a break, and when we come back, Charles Young will join us, and we'll talk a little Demon Deacs baseball. I got to be honest with you. Them boys can hit a baseball.
They sure can.
I mean, they can hit a baseball. Going to be interesting, and I guess we got 2 ACC teams in the World Series.
Right now, yeah.
Virginia and Wake.
And Wake, that's it.
Is there anybody else that can make it? They're not from the ACC.
No.
Yeah, there's a couple games going on today, if I'm not mistaken. Take a break. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Monday night. Got hot today, Juju, about 80 degrees, but that's okay.
That's normal, right?
Yeah, I don't like normal. Let me head to our guest line, bring our first guest on. He was a former part owner in the Hickory Crawdads, a Wake Forest baseball alumnus, and I know he's excited to see the Demon Deacons moving on. Charles Young, thanks for joining us, sir.
My privilege. Thank you.
Before we get started, I'm going to ask you about another Wake Forest guy that's kind of local. He's a Lincoln County fella. He was my principal coming through school, loved him like another daddy, and you probably knew a man named Ryan Shelton.
I did know Ryan Shelton. Yes, sir. I sure did.
My question is, who's the bigger Wake Forest fan, you or him? Because I didn't think there could be anybody bigger than him.
I am.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, now, Ron may disagree with me, but I am.
You know, there's, he was big into the Demon Deeks at Wake Forest, and I figured you probably would know him. So how do you feel about the Demon Deacons moving on into the World Series?
Well, I've been there. I was there Saturday and Sunday, and it's pretty exciting in Winston-Salem right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was really fun. I mean, that stadium's the old professional stadium, and that Wake Forest is, well, they bought it now and remodeled it, made it pretty nice, and it seats about 6,000 people, and it was standing room only both days, and people were really fired up. And
I'll guarantee you.
A lot of fun, and I was talking to a scout down there. And, I had an interest in the Crawdads, well, till just recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, because I've been in baseball for 30-some years, but I can't really evaluate talent like a scout can.
Mm.
And I asked him, how a high A team and Wake Forest, how they would play. And he said it'd be a pretty good ball game. So Wake Forest, they got a heck of a team. I mean, they got pitching, and they got hitting, and defense, speed. They're good.
Yeah, they are. And if I remember correctly, I watched the games over the weekend. If I'm not mistaken, this will be the first time Wake Forest been back to the World Series since 1959?
55.
55, okay.
I played in '63, and we missed by one game, and that's kind of stuck in my craw ever since. But yeah, I'm glad they're going back. It's, golly, Martin, we were ACC champions in '63, but this bunch of boys beat the snot out of us. I mean, they were good. They are good, and they're big, and they're the whole package. And Tom Walter, the coach, is somehow or another. Tom and I just kind of got along from the get go, and he comes to 2 or 3 crawdad games every year, and he's a good guy that he's a kind of guy you want to win, and he's got a team that this team could win it all.
Charles, thanks for joining us for the program tonight. Hey, I wanted to ask you, you've been to who knows how many ball games with the Crawdads, spring training games. You've been involved with the Crawdads going back with the White Sox and the Pirates and now with the Texas Rangers. Where does your alma mater winning this championship and going to the World Series rank in terms of your favorite baseball memories?
Good Lord. That's a tough one because, one of them just happened yesterday. But, boy, I'll tell you, when Tony Beasley and that bunch won, I think that was in the early 80s. I don't remember the years run together, but that was really fun, being out on the field with those guys, celebrating a championship. And good gosh, that's a great question, Juju.
Well, I'll let you think about it. You can maybe tell us a little bit later, but when you look at have you made plans to go to Omaha?
Well, I've got a room, and I've got somebody working on an airplane flight.
Hey, I wanted to ask you while we have you here, one of your buddies, Charlie Bach, and his CVCC golf team was honored back a month or so ago in the Catawba County Sports Hall of Fame. Tell us about Charlie's. I always thought of him as an old football guy, but he apparently was a pretty good golf coach.
Well, he never played golf in his life. And they asked
Robert Papp.
Yeah, and he asked him to coach golf, and I remember that real well. Charlie, he didn't know. I got to tell you this, Juju. If you don't, we played 4 guys that played high school football together at Hickory High, and we're undefeated. I got to say quickly, we were playing up there at that public Tri-County golf course up in Burke or Caldwell, and when we got through, Charlie Bach is a competitor. My gosh, he's a competitor. So when we got through, he took his clubs one at a time and threw them down the 18th fairway. And then he threw his bag as far as he could throw it. And because he was not a good golfer. Well, none of us were a good golfer, but I'd caddied some at Lake Hickory Country Club, and the pro there taught us a little bit about playing golf. But Charlie he wanted nothing else to do with golf. So I think it's old man Kirby, I believe. Old Kirby and I, we went down the 18th fairway and got his bag and then picked his clubs up one at a time, and we snuck them in the back of the car, in the trunk of the car. I snuck him. That's how mad he was. And we took him home to Newton, and we let him out. He went in the house. I can still visualize the house. And the 3 of us sat there in the car, and we debated whether or not we ought to put his clubs on the front porch, or if he caught us, he might slug us or something. So we decided we got his clubs, snuck them up on the front porch, got in the car and took off. But he was not a good golfer, but he was a heck of a coach.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. You're right.
Yeah, and I've talked to some of those boys that played for him. They just, he's such a great guy, and his competitiveness just comes through in whatever he does. And yep, Charlie Bach, my gosh,
You know,
he was 100. He was 128 pounds in high school and played outside linebacker. And he didn't knock everybody backwards, but nobody did knock him backwards either.
that's pretty impressive in itself.
Yeah.
There was a guy from Marion. Well, I remember his name. I wouldn't remember his name all the time, but I remember it right now, thank goodness. His name was Barry Ramsey. And he started at Duke for 3 years as a running back. And I remember Charlie Bach meeting him in the hole one night. This was at Marion. And he didn't knock Ramsey backwards. They both just flew up in the air. Both of them had to come out of the ball game.
Wow.
I mean, 128 pounds, and Ramsey, he was probably an honest 195, maybe 200 at that time.
That was big at that time. That was big at that time, especially for a running back.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yeah.
Hey.
And, excuse me.
I was going to say, Charlie, what you mentioned about the let's go back to Wake Forest and the team. What do you think are some of the reasons why all of a sudden Wake has turned into one of the best ACC teams, not only in recent time, but they're also one of the top ranked teams in the. They were number one in the country
Yeah.
up until recently.
Going into the tournament.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Walter, coach. He's been there 14 years, and when he took over, it was worse than starting the program. I mean, nobody cared. The players, and it was just, and he's worked, and he's just done everything. He got the stadium remodeled. They've got this turf field, which I'm not crazy about, but it's pretty. It's got a big deacon head out there and all that stuff. But and he's recruited. He's gotten his contacts. He has a lot of contacts. You know, at Wake Forest, you got the expense to start with, and then you got academics. So Tom figured out that he was going to go to New England prep schools and see what he could do. And he got a lot of ball players from New England prep schools that were good ball players and students. And they're good. Good gosh. What did he hit, 9 home runs yesterday?
Yeah, they had.
Yes.
They had 6 in the first 3 innings.
They hit 9, and I want to say that tied a record in World Series or Super Regional play for the most home runs hit in one game.
Yeah, 22 runs was the record.
Yeah, that was too. I mean, it was unbelievable
Yeah.
how hard they hit. And the thing of it was, when I was watching it, when you would see the bat make contact, there wasn't no use for the outfielder to turn around and run. That ball wasn't coming down anywhere inside the park, and they were some that were hit over the stands. I mean, they were deep.
I know. They killed them. And Wake Forest, what is it, 300 and 310 down the lines, I think. I mean, it drops back 400 and straightaway center. But I think it's a great college place, stadium, park, and Alabama had this little shortstop. I don't know his name, don't know him, but I watched him a lot. He got to where he wasn't turning around.
Yeah.
He wasn't watching those balls go out anymore.
Yep. That's exactly
He watched
right.
runners come around.
No, Wake Forest is going to be Chad Mullis. He had posted on our feed that we've got. He said if Wake can hold teams to under 4 runs, nobody will be able to touch them with the pitching they've got. The way they hit the ball and the pitching they got, if they can hold teams to under 4 runs, nobody will get close. And it'd be good to see an ACC team come home with it.
Yeah, it would. Yes, it would. And it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has. It has. And, you made a good point about the recruiting, and that was a coach that understood what he had to work with inside the confines of Wake Forest with the academics.
The parameters.
Yes. that he knew he had to go recruit in certain areas. And, of course, places like Wake Forest and Duke never had a problem bringing students from anywhere in the country to come there.
Right.
So he had to find the ones that he knew could be a fit but could also play baseball.
Yeah. And he that's right. That was a conscious decision on his part. But you know what? The academics to Tom Walter is an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
He uses that as a plus in recruiting.
Sure.
So it's there's people who use it against him too. That, if they go to Wake Forest, they're going to flunk out. And I guess they use it more in football, but it's used. And I've talked to kids that it's been used against. And I was sitting in one guy's bedroom one time with another coach, and another coach called him and told him that. But we got him, and he graduated and went on to law school, as a matter of fact.
Wow. Well, it's good that, when a coach goes out there and understands that, he's got to have athletes that can play, but he's also got to have athletes that can stay in school and be eligible, because it doesn't matter if you can play if you can't stay in school, can't keep the grades.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I think that was awesome that he understood. So many times coaches don't understand or want to accept all the parameters that they're dealt, and he did. And he decided, well, I've got to do this. This is what I've got to do if I'm going to make this work.
Let me tell you guys something. I just thought of this. I knew Tom Walter. I didn't know him, but I'd seen when Don Beaver was buying the New Orleans team. I would go down there and work with the attorney down there on getting that done. And we went to some University of New Orleans games, and Tom Walter was the coach then. And there became a coaching vacancy at Wake Forest. And I called Ron Wellman, who was the athletic director then. And I said, Ron, I'm not saying to hire this fella, but you ought to give Tom Walter a look. He's at UNO, and he seems like an awfully good coach. And I think he might fit our situation pretty well. Well, he talked to him, and he got the job. and Ron actually called me when he hired him and told me. He said, "Well, Charles, I took your advice and we hired him." So that's a pretty good feeling.
Yes, it is. Maybe that ranks up there with them winning yesterday and all your memories with the Crawdads and also.
Well, Juju, there's so many good baseball memories. I'm so blessed. I'm humbled by the blessings that I've got from the game of baseball. I tell you, winning the ACC was pretty daggum special.
Mm-hmm.
We did it at Maryland. We wrapped it up at Maryland. And y'all probably don't even remember Norman Snead.
Yeah, quarterback, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he was from the Eagles and the Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Wake Forest graduate.
Traded for Sonny Jurgensen.
Yep. And I guess he didn't have anything better to do, so he came out there to see us play baseball at Maryland. And like I say, we wrapped up the conference championship. And we were celebrating in the locker room. And we didn't have anything better to do, so we threw Snead in the shower with his clothes on.
Good grief.
He was a great sport about it. Thank God, he was a big guy.
I was going to say, it's a good thing he was a good sport about it.
Yep, he was big, but he was a really nice guy.
Yeah. Charles, thanks for joining us
Great
and
stories.
taking us down memory lane a little bit, and we'll be pulling for them Demon Deeks.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Appreciate what you do in the community.
Thank you, sir.
Charles.
We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
taking the time for us.
See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
That's Charles Young, retired attorney, but I don't think he retires from anything. I think he
No.
stays pretty
Great
active
storyteller
in what he
indeed.
does. Let me take a quick break.
One of the co-founders of the Hickory Sportsman's Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Take a quick break. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
Welcome back. Appreciate Charles Young joining us. Take us down memory lane just a little bit.
There's a book there somewhere. If
I'm
somebody's
sure.
patient enough to sit down and talk to him and write everything down.
You know, but you shouldn't have to do that. Now you can record all that.
Yeah.
You could do, I mean, I've missed some now. I always, when I started this, was to have coaches that had been around forever and have them come in and just tell those stories about the kids they'd worked with, just for, for the sake of having it. But that I just, like everything else, I just didn't get it done. Let me back up here so we can catch up. Bob said Troy Leatherman went in 1975. They ended their losing streak in 1976 versus Bunker Hill. Then they beat West Lincoln. I was a party to that. You're correct. That was a 76-77 year. And then I mentioned if Chad said if the Deacs pitching team hold to 3 to 4 runs, nobody will beat them.
Oh, we missed that.
And I missed that one, yeah. He said, Bob said, ask Charles about changing the running play at Wilkes Central to a pass play. Coach Barger wasn't too happy. Chad said Dave Clausen's kind of done the same thing in football. Great coach and gets the most out of 2 to 3 star players. Coaches that understand who they are and who they can realistically get, you do much better. Thank you, Milton. Milton said, great interview. Bob had to go to his wife's phone. I saw Gay Duckworth. He said, using my wife's phone, mine died. Charles Young is a classic, and he is, Bob. I mean, he's as genuine as can be, and I just don't think you find anything.
When I talked to him this morning, I had not we had not heard about the sad news of Coach Elder. So I didn't want. I don't know if he had found out, and I didn't want to break it. We didn't want to break it to him on the air.
Wake Forest, Florida, LSU are in. Virginia's in. Oral Roberts is in. TCU is in. The two remaining would be Stanford and Texas, and
down there,
Tennessee and Southern Miss. And I think those games are going on tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
You see the pitcher for, was it Stanford the other night to keep them alive? He went the distance.
Yes.
Threw 150-some pitches, struck out 15 or 16 batters.
8 o'clock, Texas, Stanford, and 6 o'clock is Southern Miss, Tennessee. That's going on now. Yeah. Then 8 o'clock is Texas and Stanford.
I saw them where the manager came out to check on him, and he almost backed off the mound and said, "Get the effing out of here.
Yeah.
It's my game."
Yeah.
And you just don't see that much anymore.
See people wanting to stay. Yeah. My daughter said, "Did you really say someone else who was retired stays pretty busy?" Yeah. Pot, meet kettle. I mean, what can I say? Wake Forest, we were talking about this off the air. Wake Forest moved to Winston-Salem in 1956.
Yeah.
From Wake Forest, North Carolina, the old high school. As a matter of fact, where Coach Bird came from, that was my head coach, he came from Wake Forest, Rolesville.
Okay.
That's where he came from when he came to West Lincoln. But Wake Forest started out in 1834 as Wake Forest Manual Labor Institute. Rechartered in 1838 as Wake Forest College, making it one of the oldest institutions of higher learning in North Carolina. They accepted an invitation to move to Winston in 1946. Construction began in 1952. The doors opened in 1956.
Now, is it that bad that they got their invitation to start the school there from the Reynolds Foundation, right? Tobacco money.
But how much has tobacco money done?
I know.
I mean, we all know and we all understand, but
it couldn't happen today, right? You couldn't take tobacco. That'd be considered blood money, right?
I don't know, but I said this before, and let me get on my soapbox for just a moment here, if I may. When these groups complain and want you to take down monuments and take names off buildings, here's the deal. I don't have a problem with that if they're willing to write that family a check for the money they put in. Because every student, regardless of color, gender, whatever, has enjoyed and benefited from the resources that have been put into that building or whatever, the money that's been donated to these institutions. My problem comes, if you don't want that money, just give it back to them. I'm okay with that. But don't use it and say, well, we're not going to count that anymore, but we're going to keep your building that you built, but we're going to take your name off of it. That ain't right. That ain't right. You can't have it both ways. Sorry, that's the law according to Lanny. If you don't like it, it's lannyford@gmail.com. I'm easy to get in touch with. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it is.
I don't have a problem with you not liking stuff. Tennessee and Southern Miss are in a rain delay. That has been the story of the World Series this weekend too. But I don't have a problem, but own it. Don't just bitch about it and whine about it. Own it. Okay? We want your name off, and we're going to pin you a check. That's the only way you get mine off. Yeah. If I had ever bought a building, that's the only way you get mine off if you didn't like my name being on
it. You buy up everything else, right? You're the media mogul around.
No, that's not happening. I'm just part owner in one, and it's just small time. I've just got a jersey collection.
Big fish, small pond, right?
That's it. I like to play in the small pond. Take it for a second. Let me see if I can get Miles on the line for us.
So our next guest is going to be Miles Moffitt. He is a lacrosse player at Lenoir-Rhyne, won the national championship a couple of weeks ago. And, last week I posted something online that and maybe it's only coincidence, and if you believe in coincidence or not, they're resurfacing the football stadium at lacrosse stadium at Moret Stadium. They're resurfacing it, putting new turf down. The old turf kind of got worn out after 8 years. So they're starting that. But Miles was one of the big reasons why they won the national championship this year and have been a lacrosse power over the last couple of years. He's been a multi-time All-American. He is a 4-time Scholar Athlete of the Year in the conference. He's a academic All-American, second in the program all-time in scoring, and leader in assists. I mean, one of the most decorated student athletes in the history of Lenore Ryan, and that says a whole lot. And he joins us on the line right now. Miles, thank you for joining us. How you doing, buddy? Oops.
Did we lose him? Go again.
All right, Miles, do you hear me?
Miles? Hello? Now
right.
we've got you.
All right, Miles, I gave you a nice introduction. Sorry that you missed it. Hey, we haven't had a chance to talk, but congratulations on being a major part of winning that national championship. What's it been like? What was it like when it happened, and what's it been like the last couple of weeks?
Still pretty surreal. I mean, during the game, you're kind of in the moment, and you're just playing a game at that point. But once the clock's hit zero, it kind of kicks in there for a second, and it's a euphoric feeling. You're just kind of like, wow, it happened. We finally did it, and finally on top of the mountain. And this past week has been great. I obviously got to soak it in for a little bit, but then I had to come back to Canada and get right back into box lacrosse. So I'm playing again, so I'm right back into it. So haven't got a full chance to really embrace the full experience yet, but it's still surreal. We still kind of sit there and just me and I'm actually down here with Torrin Eccleston too, out here in BC, and we kind of look at each other sometimes and like, wow, like dude, we're national champions. Like this is pretty cool. So still pretty surreal.
Yeah, it is, and it's not like you guys played, a tight game. You guys were road warriors. You won a bunch of matches on the road. You had to travel a bunch of different places, and in the championship game, you guys, led from the out from the beginning and never looked back. What do you think are the reasons? I mean, how'd you guys do it? You guys seem to be the more that you played, the stronger you got, and you were peaking at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. That was it. We were peaking at the right time. I mean, even going into it, I don't believe our team was a 5 seed in general, but, that's where the committee placed us. And then at that point, it was just we had to go get the job done. At that point, we knew we were going to be on the road the whole time. And, our plan was just to go and take it game by game and then start off in Florida and with Tampa and then Rollins. And, yeah, as that got on, I think we just got better. Our offense got better. Our defense has been strong all year, but they got better. Our goalie play was fantastic from Rob, and yeah, we just clicked at all the right moments throughout the travel, and it was good to be together during those times too, which I think was a big part of it also. But yeah, I think it's just being able to adjust and adapt on the road, and our fans really made it feel like a home game for us. Like there wasn't one game where we didn't have more fans than the other team there, so for us it felt like the whole way it was still a home game, even though we weren't in between the bricks.
I was at the Limestone game, and it was amazing that the fans are right behind you guys, and they really got into it. I'm wondering, the team got honored today at the White House, which is a phenomenal thing in my mind, that national champions can go to the White House in Division II lacrosse and be honored at the White House. And I know you couldn't attend that event. Have you heard from any of your teammates on what it was like?
Yeah, I have. They sat out there and they got to experience it. They didn't get to go inside, unfortunately, but still being there and having the First Lady come out and speak to them and speak on what an accomplishment that we have accomplished is still pretty special. And for them, it's still, a lot of those boys are up from the Maryland area, so I'm sure it's pretty cool for them to go up and see that and be a part of that experience for sure. I don't know if they allow Canadians in the White House, so that's why we weren't there, but no, they had a good time, and yeah, it's definitely exciting.
I know very little about lacrosse other than you guys really work hard when you're out there. I'm more interested. Tell me about Canada. I've been fascinated by Canada. I did not realize you were from Canada.
Oh, yeah. I'm from originally a small town from Airdrie, Alberta, right outside of Calgary, Alberta, which is the main city. And, yeah, born and raised here and grew up playing box lacrosse, actually, is how I kind of started my lacrosse journey, and then got into field lacrosse a little later in my teenage years, and then got recruited to LR, actually, from a coach who came up to Canada to watch us play, and that's kind of how the Canadian pipeline started to LR.
You would think more of Canadian players being hockey players than lacrosse. That just doesn't seem like it. Doesn't look like it have the weather conducive to be playing lacrosse.
Yeah, well, we play. It's funny, yeah, because lacrosse and hockey are both our national sports. They split between the summer and the winter. And But most of us did grow up playing hockey. I grew up playing hockey. Most of my teammates up here grew up playing hockey. But once the ice gets taken out in the summer, then we turn it into a lacrosse rink, and that's the lacrosse we play up here.
That is so interesting. Now, geographically, tell me, Calgary is in what part of Canada? Which western?
Well, very, very west. Yeah,
Okay.
right above Montana.
Ah, okay. When I think of Canada, of course, everybody thinks of Montreal.
Yeah.
And that's just above the Great Lakes, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
What was your experience coming to Hickory, North Carolina from Alberta, Canada?
I would say it was a great experience. The Southerners and the accents for a little bit, getting used to the food. You guys got the cookout. I miss cookout already, and all the great foods. But overall, it was just I had a team right away and a bunch of guys that I could call my family. And Coach P kind of makes that an emphasis on our team and that family atmosphere. And coming in was an easy transition. And I had one of my roommates from Canada, Mitchell Linklater, who's an alumni now, and so the transition was easy and it was fun, and it's been a long journey since then.
What's next for Miles Moffitt? What's your goals down the road? You mentioned you're still playing lacrosse to scratch that itch. What do you have in store? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, still playing lacrosse. So I'm out here in British Columbia, which is even further west. Even further west from Calgary where I'm at. I'm playing in this lacrosse league called the WLA, where a bunch of professional lacrosse players play in the indoor league. My goal is to hopefully get drafted in this coming up NLL draft, and then after that, hopefully get into some college coaching and go from there.
I wouldn't have thought there was a Canadian pipeline between Lenoir-Rhyne and Canada to get lacrosse players down into Hickory, North Carolina. Now, you talk about the NLL. Charlotte used to have a team. Do they still have a team? That's been a few years ago.
Yeah, that's the MLL. So
Okay.
the MLL was the outdoor league, and then the NLL is the indoor professional lacrosse league out here.
I don't know that I've ever seen an indoor lacrosse game. I've always thought of it as outside.
Not many teams out in Charlotte there. I think the closest one to us is Atlanta.
Okay. Because that's a much smaller field than what the regular lacrosse field is, correct?
Yeah, much smaller field, less players. You're playing 5-on-5. It's much more like hockey, actually, the box game than field. It's a lot faster pace, 30-second shot clock. It's quick, it's up and down, and it's aggressive.
There's a shot clock in indoor lacrosse?
Yep, 30 seconds.
Wow. Okay, I've learned something else new here today.
Yeah.
So your future plans may bring you back to the States?
Yep, that's the plan. Hopefully, I hope to coach NCAA lacrosse down there and hopefully get into the collegiate game a bit. But I'll definitely be back down in the South at some point.
Miles, congratulations again. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to join us, and best of luck to you in the future.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
for having
Miles.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. That's Miles Moffitt. I had no idea he was from Canada, had no idea there were multiple players. And the other thing, I know they brought some kids through the portal, but he started here as a freshman, 5 years, was a grad student this year.
I got a feeling he's going to come back no matter what.
Yeah, sounds like he might like it down here.
Well, he's dating the coach's daughter.
Oh, okay. You're going to be able to keep him up there very long. No. His freshman year played 20 games, scored 58 points with 51 shots on goal and 29 assists, and was the 2018 SAC Freshman of the Year.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He'll be a Hall of Famer in 8 years.
I had no idea that lacrosse was a big Canadian sport.
I didn't either.
Really didn't.
I didn't either until you started.
And that made
hearing.
sense when he talked about it. Well, we play hockey in the wintertime. We play lacrosse in the summertime.
It is basically hockey on grass.
Yeah, except you can carry the puck in the net. But I'm sorry, I've got this thing about Canada and Alaska. I just like that world up there. I always said when I was growing up that when I was in high school, they would give you 50 acres of land in Alaska to homestead, and you had to make an improvement on it within 2 years. If you made an improvement on it within 2 years, it became your land.
What's an improvement mean?
I guess a building, something that you could live and exist there. I just any show about Alaska, I watch it. I mean, some of them I don't like because they're a little too put together. I'm trying to think of the
Staged?
Yeah, and one of them is the family that, the singer Jewel, her family is one of them, the last Alaskans or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a couple different families, her father and his brothers. But, yeah. And I didn't hear him say A one time.
No.
Yeah. He
What
wasn't.
was the name of the comedians back in the 70s and 80s? Something Brothers. They'd say A all the time. Hey, don't you know have to get soap on the rope? Oh, A.
And one of them.
Gallagher? No, not Gallagher Brothers. Something Brothers.
I'll have to look that up now. Now you done got me. They just get on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. Somebody's going to connect. There we go. Bob and Doug McKenzie.
McKenzie Brothers.
McKenzie Brothers, but one of them was actually Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
From back in the Saturday Night Live. I remember it now. That was kind of.
Love the act. A lot of those guys that were in the old Saturday Night Live, they were all from Canada.
Yeah, a lot. Well, yeah, they came down through that, what's it called? Second City. Yeah,
Chicago.
Second City. Gay, or Bob, want me to tell this. Dave Elder once lost 18 pounds playing both ways in a game at Elon. Coach Painter gave him 4 Rolaids and saved him from dehydration and a convulsion. How about that? Now, that's a story.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. That's a good one.
What's
Thank
in
you, Bob.
Rolaids?
I don't know. I didn't know. Maybe he had heartburn too. I don't know. and I was thinking when he said Calgary, I was thinking that Calgary was on the west. And I know there's been Olympics in Montreal. That was in '76. Mm-hmm. But wasn't it in Calgary too?
Yeah, Winter Olympics
in Calgary.
Sure was.
Yeah.
88, I believe.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Yeah, we had always dreamed when I was coming through high school we were going to go to Montreal to the Winter Olympics in '76. I wouldn't have been but 16. That wouldn't have worked out.
Lake Placid, 1980. Regular Olympics in '76. I think '88 was in Calgary. The Stampeders.
Mm-hmm.
Big cattle country.
And I think I told you the story of the '80 Lake Placid Olympics. They had no snow.
Yeah, they had to make snow.
And they had I was in school at Appalachian, and they actually brought in a Cherokee Indian. They did a big student party at what was then Seven Devils. It's now Ski Hawk's Nest, but it's just tubing now, to do a snow dance. See if they get some snow. Well, we got 18 inches in Boone, but they still didn't get any in Lake Placid. But the snow was great up there. But, yeah, I remember those. What else you got on your mind, sir?
That is it, my friend.
Winding down.
Good show.
Great show. Great booker. You've got a great booker.
Fingers crossed. Joe Theismann and I have been playing telephone tag, and he promised last week, he said, I think I can get on the show for next week.
Okay.
But call to remind me, so I got to call him Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay. Well, if he needs anybody that's a big supporter, I saw him break his leg live.
I'm going to give him the angle with Marty with you.
Okay, that's okay, too. I won't bring up the leg thing. Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas were the two actors.
The guy that founded Wendy's?
No, wrong Dave Thomas,
okay.
And not the one that works up in Lenore.
Okay.
No, not even close. Have a great evening, everybody. I guess Mr. Rembert and I will be in the morning, and maybe Juju's drop in one morning. We'll have the Three Musketeers
I was
here.
planning on to last Thursday. I got this. I got a little bit of a flu.
That's okay. We're okay. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you in the morning.